Oh, hello. I think we're live. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Well, it's just me. So I apologize for keeping you waiting. Those of you that are on my list or in my groups, we try to post these as events before they happen. And it was supposed to go live at noon. Just sometimes there's a little bit of delays with Zoom. So where is my guest? Well, he's in England and it's nighttime there. So we announced it was going to be Dr. Alan Desmond, who's a fabulous plant-based gastroenterologist in Devon, England. And what's interesting, and you're going to hear his story, is that he's now working on the front lines as a COVID doctor treating COVID. So it's going to be very interesting because I don't think any of the doctors I've interviewed yet are actually on the front line. So this is going to be very interesting. He did not respond to the link to come live. And so I called him and he thought it was tomorrow. So rather than pressure him to, because it's nighttime there, to when he's not ready, we're going to go live with Dr. Desmond at noon tomorrow. And I'm still waiting to hear from the surprise guest that was supposed to be on at 5 today. So we'll see. But I mean, I can stay on for as long as you want. If we want to do this, just the community chat now, or I could just come back. The funny thing is while I was talking on the phone to England to Dr. Desmond, I get an email from Dr. Barnard asking for the link. Dr. Barnard is going to be coming on next Monday, but he thought it was today. So it's just been one of those days. So TS says, are you TS Eliot by any chance? He says, thank you for these interviews. Yeah, I'm really enjoying them. It's making me feel less anxious just to hear stories of hope and inspiration. And we have one of those stories tomorrow. We'll also have a 2 o'clock with Sarah Taylor, who's written several vegan books, and she has a personal story as well. So hi, Thomas. I can't wait to announce what. So, I mean, I could talk about a subject, or I could just wait and see if there's any questions about anything. I mean, this doesn't have to be a long spiel, but I just felt bad because I know that sometimes people are waiting at the time for that to happen. So any questions? I could talk about stuff, but I'd rather talk about what you guys want to talk about. Because sometimes what happens is, you're welcome, Stephanie, for the daily Zoom sessions. No, I know you're not T.S. Eliot. Yeah, Robin, Dr. Desmond is really fascinating, and he's got the most adorable accent. He's adorable. He looks, I mean, it's so funny because, when you're 60, at least when I go to the doctor now, they're all younger. When I was younger, all my doctors were, in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and now they're all in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. And he looks like a kid, Yeah, I don't believe you would have to contact him, Monica. I don't know how to get in touch with him, and I don't believe he does interviews like this. So if you have somebody you want me to interview, you have to ask them if they want to be interviewed, because I don't like to cold call, if you will, and ask people, because it puts them in an uncomfortable situation if they have to say no. And it's better if, like with Dr. Desmond, he was contacted by a patient and then he contacted me and says, yes, I'd love to be interviewed. So I'm happy to interview anybody. They don't necessarily have to be plant-based. I mean, I love that, but I've been interviewing people more from the spiritual realm that, and pet psychics, things that I'm interested in. So if there's, hi, Vicky, thanks for the mask. Vicky's been sewing masks for people, and she gave me one that was really soft that I can actually wear now. So yeah, if there's somebody you want me to interview, you need to contact them, and then I'm happy to. But I don't like rejection. So, and a lot of times I don't have the emails of the people you're asking. So you say contact this YouTuber or whatever. So I don't have time to do that. I'm sorry, but I'm getting a lot of these wonderful interviews just by you guys contacting the people and the people contacting me, and that's how we know they want to be interviewed. So this is going fast, so I might have to put my glasses on, but at least my glasses are blue, so they match. Okay. When it goes fast, it really, really goes fast. So here you go. Hi, Violet, Gina, Robin, Sue, Franny. I'm going to say hi to everybody. Thomas, and sometimes Bree, Deborah, Stephanie, Christy. Hey, Christy, I know a lot of you people. Sue, Sue's saying, I miss hearing from your daily chef AJ since our 21 days are over. The support did me great. The support did me great, and I lost 12 pounds. Okay, so first of all, congratulations. That's absolutely fabulous. But you still own the program, the Lose Weight with a Full Plate. So do another 21 days by yourself and play my voice every night you go to sleep. I used to do that with Doug Lyle, and it puts me to sleep now when I hear his voice. Robin, how I heard about him is in the Feel Fabulous group. There's a lady named Jean, and she knew that we were going to be interviewing a Dr. Will B, the Gut MD, May 12th in the Feel Fabulous group, where it's a private group where on Wednesday nights we have like Q&As, like intimate ones with these doctors. She said, well, have I got a doctor for you? And she contacted him and he said yes. And I'm very honored and thrilled that he's going to be doing that. So Sue, okay, this is a great question. And it's not just Sue's question. I hear this a lot from everybody. I'm struggling to stay SOFAs free. So you bring me to a good point, because I didn't know if I was going to have people on, and it's being recorded. So I thought if nobody comes on, I'll just talk about something that's really been on my mind lately. And that's about, how strict do we have to be? How extreme? So, okay, so let's just talk about acronyms, because it's so funny, because I have, Dr. Desmond wanted to go live on Instagram. And I'm like, well, first of all, I don't know how, I've never done it. And the people on Instagram, they seem to not know who I am at all, because they don't know any of my acronyms. They don't know that I have a book. I don't know who these random people are. And I'm not trying to offend you if you are also an Instagram follower. I don't really get Instagram. It's just very different than the platforms that I'm used to, because it seems like very young people that just, I don't know, it's maybe not the place for me. But anyway, so I'll say, the recipe is SOFAs free, and it's like 10 people like, what SOFAs free? So I chose the acronym SOFAs because Dr. Goldhammer's acronym, SOS free, sugar, oil, salt, was apparently not enough for people that I'm working with. And by the way, I don't tell anybody to do anything. And that's what I really want to talk about. I've never told anybody to do anything, not even my husband, because he eats SOFAs. Well, he eats, actually he does eat, he doesn't drink alcohol. But so Dr. Goldhammer has an acronym, SOS free. And so a lot of people say, oh, I follow the SOS diet. Well, that's not what you want to say if you're SOS free, because that means you eat sugar, oil, salt. And Dr. Goldhammer often says that SOS is also the universal distress symbol. And that if we're eating a diet high in sugar, oil, salt, we're going to have some health challenges and some distress. So what was happening is when I started teaching the Ultimate Weight Loss Program, and I wrote a book by the same name many years later, it's an abstinence-based program. And of course, if you're not somebody that wants to be abstinent, then that's probably not the program for you to attempt, because it is a program that helps people not recover, because I don't know if you ever really recover from an addiction, but people manage food addictions through the abstinence of certain things. Animal products, of course, because I'm vegan and those also are addictive, especially meat and cheese, but also the sugar, oil, and salt. And again, not everybody has to do it. And, I think if I want to be cremated, I know that because I'm working on my will and stuff now. But if I did decide to be buried, I would want my tombstone to say, she said, do the least restrictive program you can do that will yield the results you want. I've been saying that since day one. So why would you do a harder program if an easier one worked for you? I'm working with people with, I don't want to say end stage food addiction, but I'm not working with millennials or 20-year-olds or 30-year-olds that need to lose 10 pounds. I'm working mostly with women, but sometimes men. I would say probably 80 to 90% women that are either menopausal, postmenopausal, perimenopausal. They're generally in their 40s, but most are really probably in their 50s, 60s, some in their 70s and 80s that have tried everything and have never had success, because for them, the missing piece was the food addiction piece. And so the food addiction piece was widely understood in the non-plant-based world by lots of doctors, including MDs and PhDs, but the vegan world was late to the party. And I think there's several reasons for it, because as far as I know, there's no plant-based doctors that are actually addiction specialists, or there's a field of medicine called addiction medicine, but also maybe they felt that the plant-based diet was so restrictive anyway, because you're telling people not to eat animal products, not to eat dairy. And for the most part, most of them agree on not to eat oil, that if we were to say, okay, but you can't have sugar, you can't have salt, you can't have flour, you can't have alcohol, that nobody would sign up for this diet. And so, the people that bash me because I personally eat what they think of as a restrictive diet, which I don't think of as restrictive, and we'll talk about that. And by the way, this is a great question, Sue, so thank you for giving me something to talk about. And I'm sorry that this is going to be a long answer, but I feel it needs to be said, because she says she's struggling to stay SOFAs free. So what is SOFAs? Sugar, oil, flour, alcohol, salt. When I was starting my program, which was first in a program I taught in my home based on what I knew about the plant-based diet being so wonderful for preventing and reversing chronic diseases of lifestyle and weight loss, and what I knew about food addiction, I merged the two. It was SOS free. I was following everything I learned at True North. I was a guest chef and presenter there for like 10 years. And I learned all of this from Dr. Goldhammer and his book, The Pleasure Trap. And so SOS free, people were still eating flour and still drinking alcohol. And I said, Dr. Goldhammer, but they're not understanding. He goes, oh, well, they should, because sugar means all refined carbohydrates. But they weren't understanding that. And that's why I added the F and the A to have understand that if they were sensitive to food addictions, meaning processed food addiction, sugar and flour, which go through the same refining processes, drugs and alcohol, then they wouldn't want to be having alcohol, which is basically another form of sugar, or flour, which is very similar in the way it affects those of us who are sensitive in the brain. So you're struggling to say SOFA's free. So what I would ask you, Sue, and I don't know if I can bring you on live in this forum like I can when we had the class, is it all 5 letters that you're struggling with? See, so for example, if you're not struggling with alcohol, then which of the 5 letters, and if you're still watching, Sue, this is a long answer, tell me that, because maybe you're only struggling with salt. Maybe you're not struggling with the oil and the alcohol. So we need to figure out where you're struggling. And if it's the salt, for example, see, so I don't tell, I don't paint everybody with the same brush. And that's why I'm doing a lot more small group coaching now and individual coaching, because I feel like I can make more of a difference. Because when I do these larger groups, like the Ultimate Weight Loss Program, I can't talk to you individually to find out that maybe you are the person that can put some cocoa aminos on your kale to eat it. And so that's why it's helpful sometimes to know people better and work with them individually. But tell me what it means to you, Sue, that you're struggling, and tell me which of the letters. So again, I don't bash anybody else's program. I mean, there are people that eat completely differently than me. Like, for example, Robbie Barbero, and we're good friends. And he eats what some people think of as a more restrictive diet than me, because everything he eats is raw and he only eats fruits and vegetables. And so that works for him. He still is a type 1 diabetic, but he's greatly reduced his need for insulin. And that is how he feels the best. So I don't say, well, everybody should do that diet or not do that diet. I don't say anything. You do the one that works for you. But I don't bash anybody else's program. So I don't know why they're bashing mine, when I basically am just doing what I'm told as a person that has been a consultant at True North. I'm just following what Dr. Goldhammer has not only taught for 40 years, but the diet he's followed and the way he feeds the patients there. I'm not telling people they have to do it. I'm telling people that it's something they might want to try. And again, I always recommend doing what Dr. Lyle says, running an experiment for 3 weeks. I feel that 3 weeks, I feel like you can't just do something for one day and say it didn't work. I've actually had clients like that they've had their consult Wednesday night and called me Friday morning that it didn't work. 36 hours. How many ounces of fat are you supposed to lose in 36 hours? But I feel that many people, traditionally, there's a holiday called Lent, where for 42 days, they give something up that they love. Maybe it's coffee, maybe it's chocolate, I don't know. And that many people have been able to do that. And so I figure 21 is half of 42. So it's reasonable to ask somebody to do something for 3 weeks, and then they can see how they feel. And if it doesn't work for them, then we have to find another strategy. But I need to know how she's struggling specifically and which of the sofas she's having problems with. But does this make sense, that I am telling everyone you don't have to eat like me? I offer solutions that have worked for myself, somebody who was fat from the age of 5 and obese until the age of 52. I found something that Dr. Goldhammer taught me at True North that worked for me, that I love. I don't feel it's restrictive, because I don't restrict how much I eat. I eat all I want in terms of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and legumes. I don't have to weigh and measure my food or myself, or worry about what time it is that I eat, or worry about why I'm eating, if I'm eating the right food. And by using these chemicals that Dr. Goldhammer says fool the brain satiety mechanisms, the sugar, the oil, the flour, the alcohol, salt, those for me, I'm very sensitive to. I'm sensitive to drugs in general. I'm allergic. I am one of the most allergic persons you'll ever meet. I was born that way. My parents both smoked when I was in utero, and I lived with smokers until the age of 11. I'm allergic to aspirin. I'm allergic to things that I'm allergic to general anesthesia. I'm allergic to black pepper, things that are pretty like not a lot of people are allergic to. And so I'm very sensitive to the effects of drugs and chemicals. When I have had to take drugs, I went to a pedodontist till I was 35. I have to take like literally a pediatric dose. So for me, somebody who is vulnerable to the effects of food addiction, I'm very sensitive to sugar, oil, flour, alcohol, and salt. So for me, the best amount is none. If you can keep these in your diet and feel good in terms of your mental health, because you're not having cravings all the time, in terms of your physical health, because you don't have a lifestyle disease, and you're happy with your weight, knock yourself out. Eat all the nuts you want. I'm not the food police. I work with people that want my help. I don't give recommendations. That's why I think on Instagram, when they get so mad because I tell people to eat vegetables, or not, I don't tell people to eat vegetables for breakfast, because I post photos of my vegetables and they say, because I'm bashing oatmeal. Like, I didn't know there was like a law that you couldn't say something against rolled oats, which, by the way, I happen to bring them with me just in case we have time to talk about them. But let me go see if there's been any other questions and if Sue has responded. Hey, Jennifer. Hey, Tina. I know you, Tina. Asparagus, what is your favorite way of cooking it? Oh, great question. Well, believe it or not, sometimes you can't get fresh asparagus. And what I love is Trader Joe's has this frozen grilled asparagus. There's no oil, nothing like it, nothing on it. So you can eat it just, by defrosting it or microwaving it. I actually have this thing that I got from Tupperware, and it's a microwave grill. And so I actually use that in the microwave to grill it. So I would say probably my favorite way to cook asparagus is to grill it. And then I love to put the California balsamic Simply Lemon on it. That is probably my favorite way to eat it. And the other way I love to cook asparagus is in my soup, which is called broccoli bisque. And then in my book, there's a variation for asparagus, but great question. Violet says, I'm in day 4 with not drinking coffee. Is there an alternative besides tea? So I'm not familiar with all the names, Violet, but I know people sometimes drink a grain substitute. I think one is called Pero, P-E-R-O, and one is called Ticino, T-E-C-C-I-N-O. They are made from grain, I believe roasted barley. So if you're gluten sensitive, you might want to watch out for that. But that's what a lot of people do. So what I do instead of coffee or tea as a hot beverage in the morning is I drink pot liquor. So my husband eats steamed greens every morning for breakfast. And instead of cooking it in a half a cup of water, which is really all that's necessary in the Instant Pot, I use 3 cups, and it yields just the perfect amount that fills my clean canteen. And that's what I love for the thing. Well, Monica, if you don't know how to contact him, I don't know either. So maybe you could find out. Hello from Colorado. Thank you for everything you do. You're welcome, Sandra. Robin, I know what I need to do. I know how it affects my life. I'm wondering why I don't want it more. So that is a Doug Lyle or a Jen Hawk question, meaning one of the 2 psychologists that I've often interviewed, because knowing and doing is 2 different things. And, in some ways, depending on if you're in trouble with your health, it's more important to do than it is to know. And so that would probably be a question. I'm not a psychologist, Robin, but that would be a great question to ask of a psychologist like a Dr. Lyle or Dr. Hawk. They are so affordable, $75 for 30 minutes. And they've upped their times doing consults now because so many people are in distress from what's going on. I'll type their website in right now where you can actually book an appointment. It's called esteemdynamics.com. And if you're in my Feel Fabulous group, which, by the way, everybody, why not try it now free for 40 days, not 40 days, for 2 weeks, because they come on as guest speakers about Dr. Lyle is every month. Dr. Hawk, we've only had once, but I'm going to put the link in there. So if you want to try it, there's lots of great recipes, and Dr. Lyle is every single month. So, okay, let's see. It's going so fast. I'm so sorry. Okay. Bree says, okay, well, first let me talk more about Robin, and I'll take. I don't want to say I got nothing to do. I have a lot to do actually, but I'm happy to spend this time with you. So why you want it more? Robin? Why do you want it at all? They talk about, not they, Dr. Rosanne Alviero, who's going to be coming on as soon as she can, the why that makes you cry, and so I think that sometimes for some people, the pull of these pleasure trap foods, the addiction is just so strong. I mean, if you think about it, like in terms of drugs, food addiction is not, people aren't selling their babies to get Twinkies, but think about it like heroin and stuff. I think you lose all the ability to make rational judgments sometimes you see, I don't know your circumstances, Robin. So that's why I need more information to answer these, but why you don't want it more. The thing is you just have to want it 51% and not want the other stuff as much as you are wanting it now. I think that most people don't make lifestyle changes in general until the pain of changing is less than the pain of staying the same. And, Dr. Goldhammer often says to his patients, how fat and sick do you want to be? And sometimes people just haven't hit rock bottom. I think that if you haven't read the book, The Pleasure Trap, Robin, it's available on Audible. I did the recording. And if you don't have an Audible account, the first book is always free. But the thing is we weren't designed to solve the problem of the pleasure trap. We were designed for an environment of scarcity. And, the motivational triad: seek pleasure, avoid pain, conserve energy. So I don't know what to tell you. When I work with people individually or in groups, we try to find that why that makes you cry. And not knowing you or your circumstances, I don't know, but this is a great question probably to figure out the answer to. And maybe you'll have a session with one of the two doctors or join the group and ask them. I don't think you can ask questions live anymore at the Beat Your Genes podcast, but you can email them in. So Bree says, do you have a favorite snack? I got an air fryer and I'm excited to cook more with it. So the whole concept of snacking, I don't believe in for people. Again, this isn't for you. When I say it, it's for me and my clients and people that are struggling with weight and food. I'm going to have to preface everything I say now. In the interview, Dr. Furman, I don't think snacking is in general a good idea for most people. Dr. Furman talks about how we need longer periods. Doesn't mean we have to intermittent fast, but we need longer periods of digesting food, and we don't want to be putting food in our mouth all day. So I feel that if people need to snack, most people just aren't eating enough at their meal, and they're certainly not eating enough starch, because when you eat the kind of meals I recommend, there's just no way you can snack. You're just so full because starch is so filling. My philosophy is, if you're not hungry enough to eat vegetables, you're probably not hungry. So, knock yourself out on vegetables and maybe even fruits and vegetables. So if I had a favorite, I'm trying to think because I don't snack. So what would my favorite snack be? You're probably asking what are air fryer snacks. So the first thing that comes to mind is any vegetable in the air fryer is going to be amazing. Even vegetables that I don't love, which are okra and mushrooms, you put them in the air fryer, they're amazing. And if you put some of that pepperoni spice on, excuse me for looking at my phone, it's just been so crazy with all the doctors getting their days mixed up. If you put a little of that pepperoni spice on, it's unbelievable. So I would say any vegetable in the air fryer is a great snack. Brussels sprouts are one of my favorite. Cauliflower is very good too. So a lot of times people think of snack foods as like hand to mouth foods, which again, I don't recommend for people trying to lose weight or recovering from food addiction. You want to use even chopsticks for eating popcorn, which I definitely don't recommend for weight loss. It's 1,800 calories a pound. But chickpeas in the air fryer would probably be what most people think of as a snack. French fries. So air fryers are great. I love them. And they make everything taste better because you know why? You're taking out the water, you're increasing calorie density. So I'm trying to think if I had a favorite, even when I was obese, I was never a snacker. I don't know. I'm just so busy. I don't have time to be eating all day, but a favorite snack probably I'm guessing was something like an apple with peanut butter on it if I think way back. But Irina says, I'm getting anxious and sugar and carbs are calling. What are your suggestions? Needing comfort. Well, comfort is a wonderful thing, and I get mine from she's sleeping right now, from Bailey. So I think we can get comfort from doing these community chats from people, even if we're living alone. Thank God, if you're watching this, that tells me you have either a phone or a computer, which means you have access to Zoom, which is free at certain levels. I mean, you can't do like these long broadcasts like I do for free, but I believe everybody can do 30 minutes for free. You can be connecting with family and friends and even doctors. I mean, plant-based doctors, so many of them are doing telemedicine now. And even just your regular doctor, at least here, they're all doing their appointments through Skype or things like that. So if you're getting anxious, then let's deal with your anxiety. And how do we deal with your anxiety? Well, one, I already recommended a session with Dr. Lyle or Dr. Hawk. Number two, Irina, how much are you exercising? And so one of the reasons that I'm able to manage my anxiety, and I think of anxiety just like my food addiction. It doesn't go away, but I manage it on a daily basis. And so the first thing I do when I wake up is I walk Bailey. I would really rather do that second, but because it's so hot here and it's going to be hot, I have to get in a routine where I walk her first for about an hour. And that's not really exercise. That's more just recreation and it's fun to be with her. And then I spin for an hour every single day, whether I want to or not. And that's what I burn the anxiety before it has a chance to bubble up. Unfortunately, it's the next day it'll be back. So that's what I do. So if carbs are calling, eat carbs, but eat unprocessed, whole, unrefined carbs. Eat beans, split peas, lentils, eat potatoes, sweet potatoes, winter squashes, eat rice, quinoa, teff, millet, amaranth. Carbs are what you want to eat, but whole unprocessed carbs, and don't be afraid of them. But realize that's not a cure for anxiety. Deal with what is making you anxious. And that's what I would do. But if you need comfort, this is a perfect time if you don't have a pet to foster one. They're really looking for foster homes right now. Sabrina says, thank you for the updates. I'm looking for a meal plan suggestion. I'm struggling with planning. And so we don't have a meal plan in the way that Forks Over Knives does. And by the way, forksoverknives.com, I interviewed Darshana last Monday. You can try their meal plan for 2 weeks for free, or you can just sign up and get one meal plan. So that might be something you like. I don't use it as a meal plan, meaning like I just use it for the recipes. And if you've joined my group, Feel Fabulous Over 40 for 2 weeks for free, we have a meal planning tool where, again, we're not telling you what to eat every single day, but we give recipes every week, and then it generates the shopping list and the ingredient things. So those might be something to try. The other thing is if you're willing to eat more simply, meal planning is easier when you just batch cook grains, beans, potatoes, and then you make bowls. So that's how most of us, not most of us, I mean, most of us, everybody in my house eats. We just make meals out of cooked rice and cooked vegetables and things like that with delicious dressings. And it's very easy when you just do the bowl method and just mix and match, and the possibilities are endless. TS says, I have a question about the Pampered Chef steamer. Does it have a basket or yeah, so good question. So the Pampered Chef steamer, which I love, you can look in my Amazon store. I can put the link to that. It will sit in the water. The Tupperware steamer, it doesn't sit in the water. The water's on the bottom. So let me get a link to my Amazon store just in case you want to look at the different thing. Amazon.com/shop/chef AJ. I do that because people email us every day about the stuff. So the thing is, once I type, I lose everything down here. Okay. Oh, Scott is saying, check out Dandy Blend as a coffee substitute that some people say it tastes just like coffee. Okay, I just don't want to need. Oh, air fried asparagus is to die for. Yeah, that sounds great. Oh, okay, so Sue's back now. Sorry, guys, if you could just see on my end how fast this goes. I don't want to miss anything. So, and I can stay as long as you need to. Hold on. Oh, see, once I type, it goes all the way to the bottom. So, hey, Deborah. The other Deborah Lee, good to see you. Oh, Sue says she's been drinking lemon water instead of coffee. That's very good, by the way. And some people put apple cider vinegar in there. Okay, so good. Hello from Toronto. Okay. Is Dr. Desmond vegan? Yes. I mean, I'm almost positive he is because he practices plant-based medicine. So I'm going to say yes, but he'll tell you tomorrow because some people prefer to say they're plant-based rather than vegan. So, but yeah, it appears to be he is. Hey, Gary, you guys, Gary's here. I love Gary. I mean, I love all you guys. It's so nice that you spend your lunch hour with me. Hi, Jill. Hey, Libby from Houston. I look great at 60. I turned 58 on April 13th. So do you like being an Aries, Monica? I don't. I wish I was a Libra. They seem to get along better with people. So, you know, it's so funny when people say, you look great for 60. So, but anyway, thanks. I'm just kidding. So Violet says, I got the Breville air fryer. I'm scared to unpack it. Well, it's very easy because literally you just plug it in. And I don't know if I have any videos per se that show it. I think Kathy Hester might. It's really quite easy. And I'm not very skilled with that. You plug it in. There's this little dial and it tells you, what do you want? Dehydrating. And by the way, I used it as a dehydrator the other day for the first time. It really does work. I actually use it. Listen, I got this new house and I paid for double ovens that I've used twice in a year because it's so much easier to use the Breville. It's just, it takes less time to preheat. It doesn't heat up the whole house, but don't be scared to unpack it. You're going to love it. And you might not need any other appliance except maybe an air fryer. Jill says, hi from sunny Florida. Dara says, great interview. Okay. Hopkins, North Carolina. Evelyn, nice to see you. Jennifer says, you're 60. You look fabulous. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. You know, it's funny because I turned 60 in quarantine on March 22nd. I was supposed to be at the Balance for Life retreat hosting an event for my birthday. Deborah Lee was going to be there with Dr. Stefan Esser, who I interviewed yesterday, Dr. Doug Lyle, and Dr. Frank Sabatino, who I interviewed yesterday, but the hotel closed. And by the way, if anybody watching this has not gotten their deposit yet, check your email from me, and I told you exactly what to do to get it. And yeah, so yes, I am 60, and I have been vegan for 43 years. So I don't know if, genetically, that's why I seem to have better skin. I know that my grandmother and mother did as well. The secret for them was, see, my grandma and mother never wore makeup, never. Like, they wore red lipstick, and they sometimes would put their eyebrows on better, but they never wore makeup. And both my grandmother and mother, even the day they died, had like the most beautiful skin. It was like a newborn baby, and they only used soap and water, no creams or anything. So I'm thinking part of it's genetic, but I did a lot of damage to my skin being in the sun so much, baking with baby oil, that now I'm asking for a second chance by staying out of the sun and things like that. And I had Kaylin Harwell on last week with some of her nice products, but I do think it makes a difference, because I think, especially because I eat so many vegetables, a minimum of 2 pounds a day, sometimes more, 3 or 4. And when I was losing weight, 5 or 6, there's antioxidants, there's anti-aging properties in fruits and vegetables. So I do think, and also not eating junk. It's funny, when I worked at a retirement home, which was my job and for most of my life before I went to culinary school, you could always tell as people age, the ones that smoked and the ones that were really addicted to sugar, because they were always the most wrinkly. And so I don't know, but I guess a lot of it's genetic too. But thank you for your compliment. Jean is from Wisconsin. Have you ever been to Mater's restaurant in Wisconsin? I've been there once before I was vegan. I was like 10. Lori says there's so many acronyms. Yeah, WOE is way of eating, SAD, standard American diet, which I like to call the substance abuse diet, whole food plant-based, SOS. It should be no SOS, but WFPB, SOFAS, TY. Yes, a lot of, because ever since texting, especially, there's acronyms that, LMAO and all that stuff. Lisa says, I'm so cute. Stop saying you're old. You're not. It's not that I'm old. It's just that I'm older than I've ever been. And it's just 60 just is blowing my mind. I remember 25. I loved being 25. And then after that, it's like, I'm just getting older. I got a 70-year-old brother. It's like weird, Hi, Diane. Darius says, how can I support my husband to get off sugar, caffeine? Lifelong struggle. I'm plant-based and he loves my food. It's clearly an addiction. Well, first of all, I don't think you can really, even if it's a child, I mean, you can, if they're not driving, you could probably just have your house set up. I don't know. I mean, you can't make them, that's for sure. There's an old saying, a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. Again, this is where sometimes having sessions with me or all the people I recommend, Dr. Lyle, Dr. Hawk, John Pierre, he's got, there's an old saying, how many psychiatrists does it take to change a light bulb? And the answer is one, but he's really got to want to change. You can support him by telling me you want to support him, but if he doesn't want to do it, he's not going to do it. There are people that are at death's door. I've had people come to me, with stage 5 kidney disease on dialysis, and it is such a strong addiction that they just can't do it. And there's really nothing I can say to make people change. Your caffeine is really hard. And in most people, it is a lifelong struggle. Like I say, it's not 20-year-olds that are coming for help. Now we've got a new thing. We got the vaping, which they're saying, with this COVID, especially, these people are not going to do well if they get it. So I'm glad that he loves your food. But, again, is your husband overweight? Does he have a lifestyle disease? Because if somebody has no reason, why would anybody change if they didn't need to? Seriously, I think I can only think of 3 people, and I know a lot of people, that adopted a whole food plant-based SOFAS-free diet because it made sense. And they said, this is good. These people were not overweight. They had no addictions. Other than that, most people run like hell when they're, told to give up anything, especially that's an addiction. You just tell them, and especially, not knowing if he has a disease or not. Why would he want to do it? Now, if he does have some kind of disease, you say things like, I love you, I want to have a long life with you, and I'm worried. Even then, man, it's hard. It's really hard. I guess the best thing you can do is just lead by example. I wish I had the answer, because you know, it seems that the people that live alone do the best because they can control their environment. Monica says, I need help losing 25 pounds. Read your book twice. Can you make a recommendation? Sure, Monica. If you're not in my Feel Fabulous group, try it for 2 weeks for free. We have just great resources. I would try it. Try it 2 weeks for free. That's what I would do. You know, because one of the things we do in there too is we can bring people on, like I can't bring you on here, but in the other technology we use, and we can do what's called laser coaching to find out more about your unique situation. You can have a consult with me, but you know, for the same price, I would join the program for a year, then you have access to me all year round. Roxana's from Utah. We love you and thank you for your culinary vegan recipes. Saying, I wish I had more time for recipe development. The problem is like right now, like yesterday on Instagram, I put a pineapple upside down cake on, and it's not perfect. But the thing is, you know, then I got to eat it. And especially now in quarantine, it's not like I can just walk around like I used to and give it to my neighbors. And I don't like having that stuff around, even if it's compliant. It's just too much like the real thing. But anyway, thanks. Julie Joseph, I don't know you, but I love you. Every time I put a video on YouTube, she puts hearts, and I put a video up usually every Wednesday. It's called Weight Loss Wednesday, and these go on YouTube right away. But she just, you know, so many people say like mean stuff. There's this whole channel called Vegan Deterioration that all they do is say how horrible I look, and Dr. McDougall and Dr. Greger, and it's like, what a way to make a living, just to tell people how terrible they look. But Julie is the opposite, and I love what she does, and I hope I get to meet you someday. Irina says, how much natural sugar would be okay, like dates, molasses? Okay, so I would say that molasses and maple syrup are not really natural sugars, or maybe they're natural, but you know, cocaine is natural. They're still processed. In other words, you don't really find maple syrup in nature. You find maple trees that you can tap and distill like 40 gallons of sap into 1 gallon of syrup. Not really sure how molasses is made, but I don't think it's like in a pond or a tree. So dates are very high in sugar. They're about 70% sugar, but that is mitigated by the fact that they're a whole food with fiber, water, vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, antioxidants, and micronutrients. So I'd much prefer people have dates than any kind of processed sugar, but realize that dates are very calorically dense. A medjool date can have 75 calories. So whereas most fruit is about 200 calories per pound, dates are 1,300 calories a pound. So the American Cancer Society, the American Heart Association says we should have no more than 5% of our calories from processed sugars. So it's not really the type as much as the amount. So when you say, okay, it depends, okay, for what? Are you diabetic? Are you trying to reverse a disease? Are you trying to lose weight? So in my opinion, the best amount of added sugar for people that are struggling to lose weight and recover from food addictions, the best amount may be none, and just eat the fruit, the whole fruit, and nothing but the whole fruit, berries, apples, that kind of thing. Really the antidote for those of you that really are struggling with sugar addiction is to eat greens. Greens are magical. They have thylakoids. They shut off the hunger switch. They stop cravings. And, you know, people that are struggling with sugar addiction, they're probably having caffeine still, and they're probably not eating a pound of greens every day or vegetables for breakfast. That's the antidote. Really, it is. Susan says, I'm rereading your book and I can't thank you enough. It works. It does work. It's just, it's not going to be doable for everybody. And I get that. So again, I'm going to say this. I think I'm going to get like, you know how Dr. McDougall said, I don't know if he really did it, but he said he was going to tattoo on his chest, do not resuscitate, or something like that. I should just get a tattoo that says, do the least restrictive program you can do to get the results you seek. And that's that. My program works, but it's going to be too hard for some people to do 100% of the time. Some people are never going to be able to do it. Does that mean it's a bad program and we should bash it? You know, is Mensa a bad program because I can't get into it? I had a genius IQ when I was little, believe it or not. And then I don't know, I'm not anymore. So I think my IQ was like 130 or something. I'm not a genius at all. Doug Lyle, Alan Goldhammer, those are geniuses. Okay. Hey, Thomas, thanks for being here. Thomas Allen has been supporting my broadcasts. I did one with him, California Balsamic. And, you know, somebody said something like, I had Kaylin Harwell. I go, this is just an infomercial to sell her products. No, it's not. They're giving value, but you guys got to realize that everybody's struggling. And so people that are plant-based and that have wonderful products, I'm making you aware of it, because if you were going to buy it anyway, buy it now, because they can't do their regular job. They can't go to the festivals and things like that. So anyway, Let's see. And thank you guys. Thanks, Jesse, for answering other people's. I like when you guys post to each other. Franny says, end stage food addiction, very suitable term. Yep. So, okay. Sorry, Sue, but it's taking me a while. So it's the flour and the salt you're struggling with. Okay. So those are two different things. I would say that the salt may be okay for you where you are right now, but if you are overweight and want to lose weight, realize that whether there's an addictive process or not with you and flour is very, very calorically dense, just like with nuts. Nuts are healthy, but they're 3,200 calories a pound. Flour is about 1,500 calories a pound. Sugar is about 1,800 calories a pound. When you eat the whole grain, like brown rice, for example, you can eat about 500 calories of brown rice. It will fill your stomach, which is about the size of a cantaloupe, which holds about a liter of food, and you'll activate what's known as your mechanisms of satiety, your stretch, nutrient, and calorie receptors. You grind that brown rice into a flour to make bread or dessert or whatever, and now you need triple the amount. You need about 1,500 calories to fill the same space. So just in terms of weight loss, flour is not going to be helpful. It's to the right of the red line. It's too calorically dense. But in terms of food addiction, flour goes through the same refining process as sugar and drugs and alcohol. And if you're sensitive, which I think most people are, although it exists on a continuum, and there's a great test for food addiction in my book, that's going to be the problem. So if you're struggling with it, get it out of the house, do another 21-day experiment where you're not going to eat it, and eat your greens, eat your greens, eat your greens. Allison says, what is the name of my book, please? I have two books. 10 years ago, I wrote one called Unprocessed, and my latest book is called The Secrets to Ultimate Weight Loss. How do we get to coach with you? I believe it or not, Christy, it was not possible unless somebody was in mastery, but when the COVID happened, I put consults back in my store, which is my website, Chef AJ website, and then it's you go to store. So I will do consults now during this time because so many people are slipping and relapsing and struggling. And if you just go to my website. Lori says, if someone is healthy, thin, and fit, then they don't have, no. Listen, Lori, nobody has to do anything. And there's no data that people live longer without the sofas, or there's never been experiments. You know, there's an old saying, when you're a hammer, you see everything as a nail. And I think of myself as a weight loss coach, a food addiction. I don't know what I say if I'm an expert, but somebody that suffered with it for a long time. So I'm an expert in my own addiction. And so no one has to do anything. Now, when we talk about the general plant-based diet and again, there's been, I'm not on Instagram. I mean, I'm on it, but I don't understand it. It's like bizarre to me. But I hear there's like a lot of arguing with the plant-based doctors on Instagram because there's some newer ones that are saying oil is good and we should do vegan keto and it's not bad for our heart. I don't know. I don't worry about that. I mean, I don't think I agree with them because I really going to put my money on the tried and true Dr. Esselstyn and Dr. McDougall and Dr. Greger and Dr. Furman, Dr. Barnard, who all say no oil. But again, I'm looking at it that oil is 4,000 calories a pound. It's never going to help people lose weight or maintain that weight loss. And so most of the plant-based people, at least that I know, are whole food plant-based or whole food plant exclusive like I am, and they say no oil. And then people sit there, argue about how much starch and how much beans and how much nuts and sugar and salt. Do the least restrictive diet you can do that gives you the result you want, that works for your body. There is bio-individuality. You know, it drives me crazy when these doctors that have never been overweight tell you you have to eat a certain thing that they feel is important that may not work for you because it's a trigger food, or that it doesn't work for your GI system, like beans. Like I feel like I'm a failed vegan because for the last 6 years, I can't eat beans, lentils, legumes, even sugar snap peas or green beans without getting violently ill. And they keep telling me, well, you got to. Well, I can't. So you have to honor your own body. Do the least restrictive program you can do to get the results you want. And again, you know, my husband's not oil-free, sugar-free, flour-free, salt-free. I mean, at home he is because that's all we have, but he goes out and he can eat whatever he wants. He's always vegan though. And he always says he feels better when he doesn't have those things. So, yep. But if, you know, and again, somebody's healthy, thin, and fit. I don't know how we diagnose health. And it's not just being thin that makes us healthy, because I'll tell you, I worked for years at a retirement home and there were a lot of thin people that were having strokes. So, but fit is something you usually can tell by other things. But, you know, healthy, how do you define that? You know, mental health, physical health, I don't know, but I think how you feel is really important. And a lot of people say then when they eat the way that I recommend, after they've neuroadapted, like they've been to True North, like there's a girl right now in the group that is breaking her fast. And she goes, I never liked zucchini. Oh my God, it's so sweet. It's like the most delicious thing. So there's a lot going on. Salt is calling. Yeah, don't have it in the house. And what you can do is I eat something called smoked dulse every day, just a little piece, and it's like too salty, but I do that for my iodine. So you can, just in the interim, maybe use something called raw coconut aminos, which is about, I think, 95 milligrams of sodium per teaspoon instead of salt, which is 2,300. But, if it's calling, just hang up. What can I say? Louise was, oh yeah, congratulations, 49 pounds in a year. That's spectacular. It took me over 2 years to lose that same amount. And I'm sorry about the conference being canceled. And yeah, I know, it would have been so great to see you. Okay, so here's a guy named Chuck. I'm 6'3", 175 pounds, pretty athletic, not overweight. But when I eat a typical meal, which for me is a high volume of food, dinner may be half a head of cabbage, tons of steamed veggies, 2 cups of rice, can of beans, pico, air fried potatoes. That's so funny. So, I mean, it's not funny, but Chuck, are you available at noon tomorrow? Because the gastroenterologist is going to be on, and we can, I can see if I can take a screenshot and re-ask, but, my understanding from Dr. Lyle is that you really can't break your stretch receptors, but that is a large volume of food. And I did show what my stomach looked like once on one of these broadcasts. I think it was with Dr. Will B. Yeah, you look like you're pregnant because if you're eating low caloric density, it's got to go somewhere. So what can you do is you could either eat more frequently, eat the same amount of food. You need that or break it up into 2 meals. Eat less of the voluminous food, meaning the salads and the vegetables. One of the things you can do, I don't see you're saying dinner could be also cabbage, is a very, very gas producing vegetable. If you can Google gas producing vegetables, and they'll do it in order of least gas producing, the most gas producing. Cabbage is, the cruciferous ones in general are the most gas producing. It helps me if I chop my salads with a mezzalune, because then I can get more volume in, but the volume has been made smaller. So if you're uncomfortable, that's probably not good. But I think as long as it's going back down, I think it pretty much is normal. And I know Dr. Lyle has discussed this. It's just, I don't know which talk, because I've interviewed him so many times. But come back tomorrow and let's ask Dr. Desmond about this. Umi plum vinegar, I don't know what the sodium content is, Arena, so maybe look at the bottle. Michael says oil gone, dairy gone, meat gone, sugar gone too, a little pink salt. Yeah, I mean, that's the way to do it, Michael, is if people are going to use sugar and salt, do it the way that Dr. McDougall suggests, and use it in the finish, because that's when your taste buds on the tip of your tongue for salt and sugar can really taste it. I was just I was rereading this book today called Whole. I was actually looking for something, and here it says, let me just say this. It's on page 7. I'll leave it there so you can really see that I'm reading this. And it says, from Dr. Colin Campbell, the ideal human diet looks like this. Consume plant-based foods in forms as close to their natural state as possible. Quote, whole foods. Eat a variety of vegetables, fruits, raw nuts and seeds, beans and legumes, and whole grains. Avoid heavily processed foods and animal products. Stay away from added salt, oil, and sugar. Aim to get 80% of your calories from carbohydrates, 10% from fat, and 10% from protein. That's it in 66 words. So that's that. All right. But yeah, I again, like somebody that's using salt judiciously, like Michael, unless they're, have already had a stroke or have high blood pressure, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. It's just for some people, Michael, that salt perpetuates cravings for sugar, and it's an appetite stimulant, and they eat more. And again, I think, look, also the other thing is I was raised in salt-free. My parents had already had heart disease, and so I just don't like it. So for me, it's easy, the sugar was the hard one for me. Sofas, also avoiding flours using, yes, Lori, that's still flour. So for somebody that's trying to lose weight or sensitive, when you grind it yourself, it's still a flour. And that's why the pastas, the one ingredient pastas, while they may be better, the lentil and the chickpea pasta, for those that are sensitive, it's it can still have the same thing. It's higher glycemic. It gets that whatever that feel good stuff that happens in our brain. Yeah. So Franny says it's flour too. Yeah. Okay. Is Coco healthy? Well, depends who you talk to. I'm hoping Dr. Goldhammer will come on soon, but he would say no. It's a highly addictive drug and a nervous system stimulant. If you're listening to the Raw Food Mastery Summit, which I was on Sunday, he talks about how Dr. Rick Dina, how it's basically a drug. I mean, it's the cocoa bean is not hold on, somebody wants to come over. Yes, I was waiting for you to wake up. Okay. Have you guys watched Pluto the dog? That's my favorite thing. It's called Pluto Living on YouTube, and it is the funniest thing you'll ever see. Make sure you watch the first episode first. The dog looks a lot like Bailey. If you have time, please consider fostering a dog now. But cocoa, so chocolate's 2,500 calories a pound, and most people don't just eat raw cocoa powder. They put a lot of sugar, a lot of fat, like not maybe whole milk in it, and it's got some chemicals like caffeine and theobromine, and for a lot of people it's addictive. It's considered the most craved food in the world on lists. The cocoa bean, which is actually a seed, was used in the Aztec civilization as currency, and it has some marginal antioxidant properties, but there's other ways to get antioxidants than from chocolate, like fruits and vegetables. Okay, it's personal choice. Thank you, Lisa. Lori has a lot of allergens too. Jeanette says, I love your advice. I'm new to plant-based whole food, January 2020. You are new. Yeah, I lost 12 pounds and feel so much better. I'm trying to work on no oil now. When I roast my veggies, they are dry without oil. I know Esselstyn says they don't need anything, but having trouble. Sure. So try my recipe with where you're roasting it in balsamic vinegar and mustard. They're incredible. You don't need oil. If you feel you need liquid, you can roast them in no sodium or low sodium vegetable broth. You can use straight balsamic vinegar. California balsamic is my favorite brand. I like to use 50-50 balsamic vinegar and West Spray mustard, and I often do it in the air fryer. But it's true that you don't need oil. They taste amazing without it. If you have my book, try the oven roasted ratatouille, but you'll get used to it, and that will be the best calorie saver of all, because oil is 130 calories for a tablespoon. You can have 2 pounds of zucchini for that. So check out some of my YouTube videos, and I show you how I cook without oil. You can even caramelize an onion. Jennifer says the diet works. I was doing whole food plant-based and initially lost 20 pounds. Then I started running and doing the adult tap, and my weight didn't budge. I followed Chef AJ and lost 12 pounds in 6 weeks. Cool. That's congratulations. Jill says, I love tofu, tempeh, and edamame and have satiety from eating them, not potatoes. What are thoughts about eating? Here's the thing. So I'm allergic to soy. So that's why I don't eat it. I have nothing against it personally. I will say though, for some people, Jill, edamame, which is the wholest form of the soybean, it's to the left of the red line in caloric density, but it's very high in fat. And so for some people, that is an issue when they're trying to lose weight. But if somebody is able to lose weight and maintain it with them, I don't think it's a problem. Now, I do know that Dr. McDougall advises not eating so many legumes or so many beans. And I'm trying to remember where he said it. He's saying not to not eat them, but not to have them be your sole starch. So I just don't remember where he said it. I know that, for example, he said you could live on potatoes, sweet potatoes, or winter squashes, but grains and beans lack vitamin A and C, so you can't live on them. So I would tell you, if you love them and your health and your weight is good, keep eating them, but maybe consider eating other starches. If you can't do grains and you can't do potatoes, what about sweet potatoes? What about butternut squash, acorn squash, Hubbard, delicata, things like that, kabocha. Yeah, sorry I have those. Well, I'll tell you, Monica, I'm not sorry I have those allergies because it keeps me on the straight and narrow. I cannot step out of line. And it actually helps when I'm with food pushers because I will get sick. So it turned out to be a blessing, Okay. Yeah, food police. I actually have a hat that I used to wear in my classes and a whistle. Okay. All right. Kathy from South Pass. That's such a beautiful place. Delaware's in the house. Hello, Anne. Okay. Jill says, thanks for every day. Your guests give such great information. Oh, Robin's talked to Dr. Lyle every time. Well, many times? Well, what has he said, Robin? I really want to be, Nita says, I really want to be sophist free, but with anxiety and stay at home is reaching for junk and even animal products. Okay, so Nita, with all due respect, why do you have any junk food in the house or any animal products? And Dr. Lyle has said the number one rule for healthy living is no junk in the environment. Chef AJ has said, if it's in your house, it's in your mouth. And Dr. Lyle has said we must work harder on our environment than we do ourselves. Hey, Tammy, how you doing? Yeah, Jeanette, she's giving you a good tip for roasting by adding water or broth to the pan. I think I want it. We all want it. Well, here's the thing, I don't think you want it bad enough, because this is where motivation comes in. I remember, and I think I might have wrote about this in my book, but I can't remember now because I don't remember everything anymore. And her name was Joan Darling, and she was my acting teacher in 1985. If you Google her, she won an Emmy for the Chuckles the Clown episode of the Mary Tyler Moore Show. Very famous, hilarious episode. And when I took her class, we had so many people in the class and she didn't require auditions like some of the teachers. She would take anybody. And we had in that class, there was a 7-year-old girl who had never acted. There was an anesthesiologist who had never acted. There were people that you see on television, including somebody that was currently up for an Academy Award. And whenever people would come up and act for Joan, we would do scenes by ourselves or with groups of people. A lot of times people would say, hey, Joan, have I got it? Have I got it? Have I got the talent to make it in Hollywood? And you all know, but if you look at people in the music business or in the show business, that you may like them or not like them, but there's varying degrees of talent. And there's some people who you might say, I can't believe they're successful, but they were able to sell the sizzle, not the steak. Some people are just very tenacious and very successful. Whereas you'll see there were people in my acting class who were some of the greatest actors in the world. This guy's name, if you ever find him, his name was Chris Cote. I mean, he was literally the handsomest person I've ever seen. He reminded me of a modern day Cary Grant, such a great actor. I don't even know what happened to him. But there's other people that can get parts and be successful, and they don't maybe have as much talent. But what did they have? And Joan would say, when we'd say, do we have it? She'd go, it depends. It depends on what? How bad do you want it? If you really want it, success can be yours. I believe that in just about every arena. The thing is not everybody has the motivation, and not everybody has the chops, meaning the personality. It doesn't mean their personality is bad, but when Dr. Lyle talks about the perfect personality, a lot of times our personalities work against us for this goal. Remember, we were never designed to solve the problem of the pleasure trap. And so the deck is already stacked against us. And so if we have a very agreeable personality, if we're very social, if we're very extroverted, if we're not very conscientious, if we're not very emotionally stable, it's just going to be harder. So the only trick I can probably tell you without knowing more about you, Robin, is clean your environment. Make it so that healthy food is the only option in your environment. But again, it's hard to know without, like, I have an intake form, there's 40 questions, and it's hard to just only know a little bit. Shauna says, I wonder if any balsamic vinegar is okay to eat. Sometimes I don't have money to buy the fancy ones, even though I love California balsamic. So I think as long as you look at the label and they don't, well, again, if some of them have sulfites, and if you're an asthmatic or somebody who has migraines, you might not want to get that one. You want to probably not get one that has added sugar or oil. It shouldn't have oil if it's balsamic. But I think if you like it, I don't think there's anything wrong. I mean, Thomas knows I have a few vinegars on my shelf that aren't his. I bought them at Whole Foods, and if I save the good ones for me. If I'm having company, I'm not giving them the good stuff. So absolutely, always get the best that you can afford in everything, and maybe cut it. And by cut it, I mean is, you can always dilute it a little bit, like even the California balsamic with a couple tablespoons of lemon juice or lime juice. It's delicious. And that's what I love about Thomas's vinegars, is you don't need a lot because they're so flavorful. Hey, Mike from Redondo. Joanne says, hi, Chef AJ, when or if you feel like, well, I don't feel like binging, but I used to have bulimia, but let's finish the sentence. I have lost weight only to gain it back. I don't want to do that again. If you have binge eating disorder, if you have bulimia, you need some kind of help outside of this YouTube, you need to talk to Dr. Lyle, to Dr. Goldham, not Goldham, he doesn't do privates, Dr. Hawk, Dr. Lyle. There's a couple of YouTubes I did about binging with Dr. Lyle, and it always comes from restriction. And generally the restriction is starch. So I would definitely talk to one of those two doctors and make sure you're eating enough starch, because that's what causes binging, is trying to just eat low calorie fruits and vegetables and not having enough satiety from the starches. Okay. Gina says, Violet, you're going to love the Breville. Robin, I've been vegan for years and let it slip back in. Now it's harder than it was the first time. So when Dr. Lyle talked about this, he says it's not harder. It's just that you don't remember how hard it was the first time. Great. Monica's reading The Pleasure Trap. That's terrific. Robin's going to call Robert Cheek. I love you, Robert Cheek. Hey, Robert, would you want to endorse my new book? Yeah, I hate to ask you again because you did the last one, but Glenn Mercer, it's not my book. It's Glenn's book, but I wrote the recipes. So if you'd like to, we'd love to have you. Hi, Linda. How you doing? Amy says, I began in 2012. Baked potatoes with meals help me cook. Yeah, so that's a great point. Baked potatoes with meals help me overcome cravings and the need for snacking. That's my guest, my 5 o'clock. I'm not going to get it though. Shoot. Okay. And a potato in your purse. It's called pimping it, P-I-M-P. Always have a cooked starch available, preferably a potato or sweet potato, because those are a lot easier. Beans and grains, they're not as potable. Maybe winter squashes, but always eat a potato. When you don't know what to do, eat a potato. Is quinoa a starch or a protein? Quinoa is believe it or not, quinoa is a seed botanically, but we think of it as a starch. We use it as a grain, but it's actually quite high in protein. Nikki says chickpeas in the air fryer are delicious. What pepperoni spice? Scott, if you look at this channel, about a week or so ago, I did an interview with Nick DeVorn from the local spicery, and he sells a salt-free pepperoni spice that makes everything taste like pepperoni. As a matter of fact, I'm going to try a new recipe with it. Maybe I'll have it out for tomorrow. Scott says veggies with hummus. Amazing results to get potatoes instead for me and other grains. I just threw air fried seasoned chickpeas in my salad. Yeah, those, when you put chickpeas in the air fryer, or if you don't have an air fryer, when you roast them, they're so crunchy. They can be like croutons. Hello, Angela. You want a dog? Get a dog. I mean, a house without a dog is not a home. Dearest, a pleasure trap is, I think, easier to understand on Audible. Lisa says, I'm amazing. Thanks for I'm recommending local spicery pepperoni spice. It's the, hold on, I got to do this. Okay, hold on. Sorry. Sorry, guys. I'm live now. Can I call you back? Voice to text wasn't working. I don't want to say who the guest is in case he doesn't come on, but he's kind of famous. Okay. Hey, Tracy from Columbus. Darius doesn't snack, messes up my system. Christy signed up. Thank you. AJ talks. Yeah. So I'm talking about, here, let me type in the local spicery. And if you order, you get 2 free samples with code AJ or Chef AJ, and they do answer their phone. Okay. Oh, shoot. Now, you know what happens once I type, it goes. Sorry. You can leave if you have to. I'm so sorry. It says, I don't want to not answer your questions, because truthfully, sometimes when you ask me questions, I don't answer them. Like if I have a specific doctor on a specific subject, then you ask me one of these questions, it's kind of not appropriate for me to answer. So that's why I kind of want to catch up on everything now. What bike do you use at home? It's called the Kaiser. It's spelled K-E-I-S-E-R. I got it really inexpensively on Craigslist from a guy that specializes in gym equipment that's gently used, and I can get you his name. It's Ray, but he really only operates in Southern California. I mean, if the Peloton was really expensive, and plus I didn't want to spin to somebody else's program. I spin to Schitt's Creek, Righteous Gemstones, podcasts, things like that. But I'll tell you, having a bike is, especially now with the gyms closed, it's been the greatest decision. And now my husband's using it too, so we have to like schedule our time, you know. Sherry says, I love my passion and energy. I think the energy comes from eating this way, because when I was on sugar, you know, as my drug for 43 years, you think it gives you energy. I was tired all the time. Okay. Hey, Taylor. Oh, you're, I'm sorry if I mispronounced names. Liguina. I'm from Idaho, the Potato Haven. I'd love to see you daily. Thank you. What kind of workouts do you do? So Robert Cheek is on, so I'm embarrassed to say, because I don't do as much as I could. And I have the same um, excuses or whatever with exercise as many people do with food. I was very late to the party with exercise. I didn't start really doing anything meaningful other than walking my dog till I was 52. And now I exercise, see, because Dr. Lyle helped reframe it for me, that because I used to be on psychiatric medicine, which made me a zombie. And he explains that this hour of spinning that I do every day, and he thinks that I would be better off actually doing 2 half-hour workouts. But the problem is I sweat so profusely and I want to look nice for these that I do an hour. That's what it takes. I call it to burn the bitch. Half hour is not quite enough, 45 minutes on some days. So because I'm a much pleasanter person if I do it first thing in the morning. So I spin for an hour a day. I used to spin 90 minutes 3 times a week before I had a bike at the gym. But now that I have one, I do it almost every day. Sometimes I miss a week if I have when I have a really early interview. See, because I do interviews for other things and other programs with doctors. And if they ask for an early time, then sometimes I'll miss the spinning. I try to walk 10,000 steps. Sometimes I only get in 5, but that's what I do. And I don't do any kind of strength or resistance training. And I have weights all over my house. I have one right here. I just don't do it. And my excuse is I have trigger thumb, and every time I do it, it hurts my thumb. I just don't like it. And that's the truth. So rather than make excuses and get stuck in the ego trap right now, I'm not doing it. But the thing is I really learned that so much interviewing the Shirzais. My mother had Alzheimer's and she never exercised a day in her life. Jumping to conclusions was the most she ever did. And that's a joke. So, the Shirzais talk about how it has to be meaningful. You have to sweat. You have to use those long leg muscles. So I know it would be better if I did other things and switched it up. But if my feeling when it comes to the diet, the exercise, the food, when I say do the least restrictive one you'll do, they say that the best meditation is the one you'll actually do. And the same thing for exercise and food. It is better that I'm spinning an hour a day than not exercising. And that's what I'm doing right now. But I know I could do better, and maybe one day I will. But considering where I came from, it's still amazing that I do it because I really don't like it. What I do is I trick myself, because that's when I allow myself Netflix or Amazon Prime. So it's this, and then I get into the show, and then I probably could spin longer. But what is the name of the plant-based doctor at Barnard's Medical Center? I didn't know that there was a gut doctor at Barnard's. I'm sorry, I don't know, Heidi. You might want to, I'm going to be interviewing Dr. Barnard next week. You might want to just go on the website or call them, because Barnard Medical Center does do telemedicine in California, where you're from. Do past members have access? I don't believe so. For if you're in Feel Fabulous, there's a membership fee that's 1 year is the best deal. It's like $12 a month. And if you've canceled, I don't think you still have access, but anything you downloaded before you left, you would, like if you did the 14 days to Fabulous, but I don't think it's like once you leave, I don't think you can get back in. But if you have a question about that, hello at Better Life Summits. Do you think someone could get off Paxil for anxiety by going to True North? I don't know necessarily if the going to True North would help them, because you cannot fast on psychiatric drugs. That's why I went to True North in 2011, and the medical doctors wouldn't fast people on psychiatric medicine. So I had at least water fast. I had to do the juice fast. But I think that what would help you if you wanted to get off psychiatric medicine is first understand that it's not all it's cracked up to be, and read the book Anatomy of an Epidemic by Robert Whitaker, and you'll realize that in trials, placebos actually do better than the psych meds. So you can look at the work of Peter Bregan on YouTube. He's a psychiatrist that prescribes no medicine. And again, I would think the best shot would be to have a session with Dr. Lyle. Which air fryer do I use? Asked Becky. They're both in my Amazon store. I use the Breville when I'm making larger amounts, and when I'm making just something small, like a pound of Brussels sprouts, I use the Go Wise. I just got one for Mary McDougall, whose birthday's coming up, but I'm sure she's not watching, but don't tell her anyway. Hey, Kenny Malcolm, air fry asparagus. Yeah, you guys remember Kenny from Weight Loss Wednesday? A lot of people thought he was really cute. I don't know if he's still single, but he's still really cute. Lisa says, what about green tea instead of coffee? Yeah, I'm thinking that it's better because it's less caffeine, but again, like I'm a very anxious person, so no amount of caffeine is good for me. I would encourage you to listen to some of the interviews I've done with the sleep specialists about the effects of caffeine. Dr. Roy Artal is rescheduling. He was supposed to be up this weekend. So, again, I'll use the words of Dr. Goldhammer, just because something is less bad doesn't mean it's good, but I would definitely say that it's definitely an upgrade, green tea instead of coffee. But the thing is why do you need the caffeine? Can't you, if you need it to function, to me, like I'm interested in helping people get all their addictions. I feel like, I just want to die with no addictions. So I don't want to have to come back and repeat this life or any life, really. I hope that I did enough good that I can just go on to the next plane. Kathleen says, hi from Florida. Oh, good. You're watching Frank Sabatino. Yeah. Hello, Karen and Robert and puppies. Okay. Thank you for your kind comment, Claire. Motown checking in. Nice. You don't look 60. Thank you. Well, I haven't had any work done, It's so funny because when I lost weight, and I forget which blog it was, they're saying, oh, she had surgery. And I didn't. I mean, let's see if I can show you here. Hold on. If I had surgery, I wouldn't be able to do this. This is skin. So I do have one episode where I actually went in a bikini. I can't remember which one it is. Kenny remembers that one. Hello from Ireland. Oh, if you're from Ireland, Lorraine, the doctor tomorrow is Irish. He's in England now, but he's Irish and he has the most lovely accent. Okay. Gary's turned 61 Saturday. Happy birthday. And I hope I remembered your birthday, Gary, who's watching. I'm struggling with salt and flour. Well, get rid of it from your house. Oh, I think I'm at the end of them. Oh no, there's more messages. This just keeps, I feel like that commercial, it keeps going and going. Taylor says vegan deterioration is ridiculous. I've reported the channel and comments. Why is that even allowed to exist? I just don't understand. I don't understand, and the thing is, the person that's bashing everybody, do you ever see her? What does she look like? Anyway, I wish we could get it shut down. Okay, let's see. Hold on, it's going too fast. I hope I'm not missing anything. Do you ever have any arm fat? Well, I mean, I don't think it's arm. I think that this is where a tricep should be, right, Robert? And if I did weights, this is loose skin, because yes, I used to have. Actually, one of the things I really loved about losing weight is I never would wear sleeveless because I had this, I wish I could find a picture to show you. I had this big old fat blob on both sides and I never would wear sleeveless. So obviously that went away. So I guess that was underarm fat. So if you have arm fat, lifting weights is going to build the muscle under the arm, but I don't know if the only thing that really gets rid of fat is losing fat. Oh, she puts my leg asleep. A Columbia Heights MN, is that Montana? Need help losing weight, 60, and unfortunately a type 2 diabetic. Well, I would suggest, the first thing I would suggest is free. Read my book. And when I mean it's free, if you don't have an Audible account, the first book is free. And you can also get it in the library. If your library doesn't have it, every library has a form. I don't know, they're probably not open right now. You might find the form online. A lot of people can get books online. Every library has a form that you can fill out to get my book there. And I've done it with many libraries and I've donated as many copies, at least to the libraries here. And then I would tell you, Joanne, to try my program for free for 2 weeks. I just posted the link again. Oh gosh, and every time I do that, then the thing jumps up. And that's what I would do. And okay, arm fat, there we go. Salt cravings, yes. Another Aries, Jean. Hi, Jean. Okay, understand. Hitting 60. Yeah, so Colleen is saying the milestones. Yeah, there is something about 60 because like if you live to 100, you're not middle-aged anymore. You're like, I don't know. There is something weird about 60, it's just, I don't know. It's just, I don't like it. I don't like the number. Do you believe microwaves are safe? Depends what you use them for. I don't sit there and cook, things for an hour in the microwave. But if I want to cook my broccoli, which I'm going to eat after here, I'm going to cook it for 4 minutes in there. And that's all. Sorry, yep. I think we're going to have a special guest at 5. I don't want to tell you who it is. He's kind of, well, I don't want to say too famous and you're expecting a movie star, but well known. I am not worried about it. If you go to nutritionfacts.org and look at Dr. Michael Greger's website, you can put a search box and I believe he says they're fine. And they actually, can even retain nutrients. Again, you don't have to have a microwave, but you know, when you travel, I mean, how am I going to eat without one unless I want to eat cold food, I suppose. I use one. I don't cook everything in it. I use it mostly for reheating. And, you know, I guess if somebody had cancer or something, then maybe not. I don't really know much about this. I personally use one, but again, you don't have to use one if you're uncomfortable doing that. Jean says 60 seems so young to me now. Yeah, that's funny. But you know, it's like, who was it? Yogi Berra or somebody said, if I knew I was going to live this long, I would have taken better care of myself. I would have taken better care of my teeth and my skin and everything. But you know, we all think we're going to live forever. But that's kind of what this virus has done, is people are really like confronting their own mortality, because it's, you know, we're not. But the thing is you know, I really love what Dr. Greger says about, you know, I know I'm going to die. I just don't want it to be my fault. And so I don't care when I die. I mean, I don't mean that like that. I want to drop dead. I want to have lunch first. But the point is I just want quality of life. I don't want to die like my parents and grandparents on ventilators and operations and dementia. I want to, whenever I die is fine. I mean, as long as I'm not suffering and on a ventilator, that kind of thing. But I want quality of life more than longevity, you know? When you air fry vegetables or chickpeas, Deb asks, do you use seasoning or veggie broth? So I got a confirmation. Yes, 5 p.m. We have somebody famous. Yeah. Oh, so you're watching. You're watching. Jonah, are you watching right now? Because I will bring you on 5 minutes before you tell me what email, and then you'll be on. Jonah's not the person. Anyway, Jonah's the person that I'm communicating with. So I sometimes do. So as I mentioned, I love the pepperoni spice from Local Spicery, to put that on the veggies and the chickpeas when I'm cooking them. Okay. Colleen says people think she's 10 to 15 years younger. Rich R, read the book a third time. Good for you. David, I can't tell you my opinion of natto. I only vaguely know what it is. So I'm trying to, and somebody has talked about, you know who's going to know? She hasn't been scheduled yet, but she confirmed today, Miyoko Shinner. I've heard her use it and talk about it. So please come back. And again, consider signing up for my mailing list at eatunprocessed.com. Look, we got nothing to sell you right now anyway. All we're doing is sending you replays and telling you the schedule. So you can know who's going to be on. Yeah, Judy, it's a horrible group. I look fantastic. Thank you. Okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah. And, you know, I even though I appreciate the likes, Bon, I really like the sharing more if you can, especially those of you watching on Facebook. I don't know if YouTube gives you a thing. Oh, Linda says OXO makes a great microwave steamer with a basket. Linda says my skin's beautiful. Adrian says, I'm glad you said you can't have compliant sweets in the house. I find that I make muffin breakfast. Yeah. So again, I'm not extraordinary. I'm just very conscientious and very diligent about not having a morsel, a drop of crumb or non-compliant food in the house. And even when it's compliant, if it's a cake, a cookie, or a bar, I go. It's not that I never do that. If my husband wants it, I'll make it for him. See, the thing is, he eats some of these crappy things that are like vegan pastries, but they always have like some soy something in them. So it's perfect because I'm allergic to them. So I'm never going to get in his stash. But I made him a cake. We had a follow me on Instagram. You saw the anniversary cake I made. But then when I have it, all I want to do is eat it all the time. And I don't want to eat my vegetables. So I will make them. That's why I don't want to write any more recipes, because I just want to eat my sweet potatoes and Hannah yams, which I love. I don't know many 6-year-olds that look like you. Thank you, Joanne. Nativa.hollis. I'm not sure. And maybe you're tagging somebody. What kind of bread is best to eat? Can't eat wheat flour. So again, Judy, I don't know what your circumstances are. If you're trying to lose weight, if you're gluten intolerant, if you have food addictions, bread is calorically dense. If somebody insists on eating bread, I would probably recommend a sprouted bread that is more whole grain than flour. But if you're trying to lose weight or recover from food addictions, I recommend no bread. BB says, I use this time to get off caffeine. Just added decaf to the regular until I was totally using only decaf, then jumped to Danny Blend. Very good. Works for this old coffee loving. That's a very good way to get off it, titrate down. Some people do go to True North and water fast to get off it. Ladine says, should I not eat past a certain time at night for weight loss? So I would say, if you're eating late and you're not losing weight, then try eating earlier. I tell people not to eat at night, not for weight loss. And as a matter of fact, we're going to be able to ask this to the gastroenterologist tomorrow, because every gastroenterologist I've interviewed has said it is not good to eat food and lay down. You need 3 hours minimum, maybe 4 or 5, especially if you have distress. So I don't think it's good. I know Dr. Goldhammer would tell you not to do it. I have seen, again, I've seen research that has said out of Northwestern that even if it's within your caloric budget, that calories eaten at night are more likely to be converted to fat. Also, when you eat at night, you don't sleep as well usually. And when you don't sleep as well, you wake up in the morning with the need for caffeine. So I personally, I don't always do this. Yesterday was the weirdest day and I didn't get lunch till 3. So at 9 o'clock I was hungry. So I had some steamed broccoli and I had a lot of weird dreams last night. I try personally to have all my eating done by 7 o'clock. That's me. I feel better because I go to bed at 10. I actually prefer earlier when I can. So my opinion on ghee is, we had an Indian doctor on a few weeks ago, is that it is a dairy product, and I am not a fan of dairy for many reasons. Caloric density is but one of them. But if you please would read the China Study, which is the book written by Dr. T. Colin Campbell and his son Tom, you know, dairy is the most potent carcinogen that he discovered. So I would give it not a thumbs up for people that are vegan or trying to lose weight or be healthy. Diane says, can you advise the days and times I'm live? So my preference is 2 o'clock, but I will always go when a guest wants to go. I will never turn a guest down. So if you subscribe to my mailing list or follow me on Facebook, we try to always post them as events. In general, 2 o'clock is the time. Tomorrow we're gonna do noon and 2, and Wednesday is Brenda Davis at 2. Thursday is Alona and Matt. They're the Letterman and Pool Day couple who wrote the Forks Over Knives book. They're at 2. Friday is at 1. Saturday, I think, is at 3, and Sunday's at 2. So I do try to do afternoons so I have more time to look a little better. Elizabeth says, it's easier to stay compliant when I listen to you often. Well, thanks. That's what I do, is I always listen to Goldhammer and Lyle, and I actually have pictures of that, like Goldhammer on my fridge going like this, like don't even think about it. Judy says, I love how supportive you are to others in the field. Thank you. Well, you know, I don't love everybody and I'm not the greatest person in the world, but if I don't like you, I'm not going to bash you. I'm not vegan deterioration, because I think that says more about the person than the person they're bashing. But I do want to support everybody in the field, because I think that not everybody's going to resonate with me. There are people that don't like me, and that's fine. So just don't watch me instead of like saying all that stuff you're saying about me on Instagram, because I told people that oatmeal and fruit is like cake, and it is. And I think I'm just do a separate video on that. But thank you for saying that. I try to be supportive, and yeah, it's not always easy. Monica lost 28 pounds by reading the book, hasn't lost the vat glucons. Well, no, I don't take yourself for a consult. You would have to, you know, go on the website, because okay. Misty loves Thomas's vinegar. Any new flavors, Thomas? Yes, Misty. I don't know if we can announce them yet, but Thomas, if you're watching, can we announce any of them? Why no caffeine? The best explanation was given in the Truth About Weight Loss Summit by Dr. Linda Carney, 17 reasons why it makes it harder for people to lose weight and sleep and all these kind of things. Caffeine is a drug. It's a central nervous system stimulant. It affects your ability to get deep sleep. It has a 17-hour half-life. It causes food cravings. There's just, I don't know what the good part of caffeine is. Yes, you can see the replays of these immediately afterwards just by going to YouTube. So absolutely, that's there right now. Karen loves California balsamic, just had curry. It is delicious. Robert's saying, have a wonderful day. Ghee is not good for your body. So Jill, what nutritional experts to help with bariatric patients on this program? None in my area. Can you mention a few? I don't know any, Jill. Now, if you're talking about just for the nutrition part, because I know that sometimes, did you happen to hear what Dr. Esser said yesterday about bariatric surgery in general? If you're talking about just the nutrition part, because I know he would mention that a lot of times they'll have nutritional deficiencies and things like that, what I would suggest is maybe having a private consult with Visanto Molina, who is a registered dietitian in Canada, who does take private clients, because I don't think Brenda Davis does anymore, because she can help construct a program that's going to give you the nutrients you need. She's worked with people that are 100% raw and people that are allergic to beans and things like that. But as far as medical doctors, you know, I know that Garth Davis is a bariatric surgeon, but I don't think he takes on patients or does consults. So I'm going to write myself a note and see if I can find somebody that can answer that. And I'm assuming you're looking more for the nutritional component. Am I right, Jill? More than, like, say, the psychological component that sometimes goes along with it. Let me know, but that is something worth looking at. Lori had a coffee addiction till she read Dr. Greger's book, and then she started green tea. No more desires coffee. It tastes bad. If I start to do the 21 days, I get terrible headaches to the point. So, and always have to cut sugar. I always have to find sugar to cut the headaches. Well, that's, that means to me that you're really, really addicted. And so maybe consider some kind of inpatient experience like the True North Health Center, which is still open for business, or the Fasting Escape, and do a water fast. But the fact that you're having such a severe reaction shows you how addictive that is. And remember, as the doctors say, feeling better doesn't mean getting better. So, I think they will pass, but I think you might need to get professional help through a doctor if this is something you really, really want to do, and maybe even get headache medicine if you have to, just to get through them. I know that Dr. Furman talks a lot about this. Sue has 24 pounds to lose. Okay. And she's got the motivation to start over. Yeah, Paul says it's hard to cut out sugars and treats. So I'm writing a book right now called A Date with Dessert. And in my first book, Unprocessed, I have some amazing dessert recipes, and I sweeten everything with dates. So that's what I would do. If you can't cut out sugar entirely and eat only fruit, try the dessert recipes in my book, Unprocessed. There's a chocolate mousse tort and a mint chocolate mousse tort, and blueberry squares and cherry squares. Rich says, why haven't you divorced him? Oh, no, of course. You're joking. Yeah, no, because he's really good. That's why. And if I do, then I don't even know the password to get in on this computer if I do. Lisa hasn't had coffee for 3 weeks now. Drink tea latte, green tea. That's better, much better than coffee, I think. Yes, these are on YouTube like right now. Okay, so Paul, try some of my dessert recipes, and a lot of them are just on YouTube too, What do I eat for iodine? I take a little piece of the smoked dulse every day. I get it at cveg.com. It's really salty. Okay, let's see. I don't want to keep you guys, so I'm keeping you so long. So Anna Maria says, I haven't given up sugar, coffee, and salt. I have it in small amounts. Otherwise, I would not be able to do this plan. And that's fine. So first of all, if what you're doing is working for you, why change it? Number one. But if you find that having certain things in your diet are either causing you to have cravings or making it hard for you to lose weight, then maybe consider abstinence or an experiment with abstinence. Do the least restrictive program you can do that gets the result you want. You don't have to be perfect. And the problem with being perfect is then you get into that nasty ego trap, and then it's really bad when you're in the ego trap and the pleasure trap. I'm open to, Franny says, I like to open a Chef AJ fan club in Germany. Well, here's the funny thing. My book is in German. It was just published last month in German. I'll bring it next time to show you, but I can't read it. It's a long German title. I'm looking for real people to speak to about this groundbreaking knowledge. Besides, I'm feeling really lonely with my way to eat. People think I'm nuts. Yes, they call us HCNCs, hyper conscientious nutcases. But we're healthy and we look good. So what does the whole mean in whole foods? So to me, it means unprocessed. It means as it is found in nature. So an orange versus orange juice, a ear of corn versus corn oil, a beet versus sugar. That's how I think of it. Franny, you're welcome. Jesse loves Pluto Living. Does anybody know how to get in touch with her? I want to interview Pluto, but she's not responding. They got so famous so quickly to my Facebook post and not responding also to I went through her website, but yeah, Pluto Living is the best. Carob powder. Yes, you can substitute carob powder for cocoa powder. Carob is a Mediterranean fruit. It comes from a pod and it's ground. It doesn't taste exactly like chocolate, but when you roast it, it has a similar kind of thing. Angel from heaven, tell my husband. A can of beans that has 600 milligrams of sodium per serving, 20 milligrams, is that less than a teaspoon of salt? So a teaspoon of salt is 2,300, but realize if you have a can of beans, you can always rinse the salt off, soak it in water like overnight. You can also get salt-free canned beans. Can you suggest a substitution for bell pepper in recipes? It just depends on the recipe. Can you have tomatoes? And are you allergic to all the colors? Because I know sometimes people can't tolerate the green ones because they're unripe, but they can have the red ones. Be a substitute for bell pepper. It is very hard to substitute nightshades. How much liquid goes in a 6-quart instant pot when making the broth with frozen trimmings? 8 cups. I have a recipe. It's on YouTube with it, and it's in my book. But I would say 8 cups. What's the best way to start batch cooking? Head over to Nutmeg Notebook YouTube channel and watch her videos. She is the queen. I'm not going to even attempt that one. But for me, it's just having something always ready. If you make some rice, you freeze some, you eat some, you refrigerate some. And then before it's over, you make some more. You know, I have a very simple process because I just kind of eat very simply. All right, you're welcome, Debbie. What about olives? It's very hard, Nancy, to get olives without salt. You can get them on the internet. They're very high fat, but I'd much rather have people eat olives than olive oil. And you can soak them. Oh, thank you, David, because I couldn't remember this. Dr. McDougall is worried about the protein content of beans overworking the kidneys. I think he limits the amount of beans he eats. He'd say, I know he has something about that. You could probably go to drmcdougall.com and put it in the search box. But I know that when, like at True North, when we have kidney patients or people on dialysis, they cannot eat any beans for that reason. Taylor has GERD. Well, then come back tomorrow and we'll talk to the GI specialist about it. If I have peanut butter, my digestion slows down even more. I have intense bloating, too much nut butter. Taylor, come back tomorrow at noon and we'll ask Dr. Alan Desmond about this, okay? Hey, from Brooklyn. I think the guest tonight is, yes, actually, Susanna, come back at 5. The guest is from Brooklyn. So that's a hint. Salt increases the appetite and triggers sugar addiction. For some people, for those that are sensitive. Okay. Control your environment, says Frankly. Some people enable their own demise. Yeah. Nita, you're not going to be able to get more willpower, unfortunately, because willpower is a limited resource. And it's very hard to call on it when it's activated when you're required to make decisions. So you want to limit the amount of decisions you have by not having junk food in the environment. And if your family will not eat junk out of the house, then see if they'll get a locked food safe and locked refrigerator and keep their food in it, or have conversations with them about supporting you. But I don't think willpower is going to help you. Dixie, hi Dixie, how are you, girl? Eating a big, beautiful salad while watching Chef AJ. Sue says, I recommend everyone follow Chef AJ's Ultimate Weight Loss Program. It's hard, but everything in life that's worth it is not easy. It's the only diet that worked for me in 5 years. Thanks. Well, it's the only one that worked for me in 52 years. Hey, Elspeth. Well, listen, you're hot, girl. I mean, other than the fact that I know you had a skin thing that you went to True North for, I hope it's okay that I said that. You don't even have to be perfect, do you? I follow you on Instagram. Your food looks beautiful. You're beautiful. You look, as big as a minute. So, but here's the thing, even people that don't need to do it 100%, when they do, for whatever reason, like they got a health challenge, or I don't know, they're an actress that needs to lose 5 pounds for a part, it does work. It's just, it's not going to be doable for 100% of the people 100% of the time. And there's going to be some people that are never going to be able to do it. So here's the thing. If you know that's you, do the least restrictive program you do. They'll give you the results you need. I think I'll have to put that on a t-shirt. All right. Scott's suggesting tomatoes for red bell pepper. Debbie's appreciative of the program, lost 55 pounds after being stuck in a fat body for too long. Isn't it fun to be in a not fat body? And again, I'm not trying to shame or make anybody feel bad that has a body that is bigger than they want, but I will tell you, and going back to Robin, who said, well, I just don't have a strong enough why. I think for those of us that have got the body we want and the calm brain, especially, that goes with it, we don't want to jeopardize it. So I think when you don't have the results, it's sometimes hard to be motivated because you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Rosemary loves beans, but don't know how to limit to a cup a day. Oh, but didn't know, not don't know, sorry. What's my favorite whole food plant-based burger? Mine, it's in my book. It's called The Best Beanless Bean Burger. That is my favorite. Ruth is saying, watch Fat Vegan to Skinny Bitch. Again, ghee, I've mentioned, I don't recommend it for weight loss, for health. It's an animal product, and dairy cows are treated worse than anybody else. Watch the interview from a couple days ago with Dotsie Boych, the Olympic medal winner. Debbie made her first vegetable broth from scraps. Turned out awesome. It is very easy. and she froze it in a cubes. You can use what's called a paint straining bag to strain it. It's 99 cents at a paint store. Okay, I gotta go by 2 because I'm hungry, but I'm trying to get to all these questions. So, I can always save them too. Nick is having trouble getting West Spray salt-free mustards. Have you tried Amazon, Thrive Market, Vitacost Market? Those are 3 places. Sprouts Markets has them in person. You can make your own, and if you don't want to, maybe just get you know, you can make mustard. You know, I don't remember how they taught us in culinary school, but you can make mustard from the Coleman's dry mustard or mustard seed. How do I store my potatoes? I don't know. And by that I mean I put them in the pantry, but they start getting eyes really fast, so I have to go to the store every week to buy potatoes. And who did I ask how to do that? I think it was Chef Bravo or Chef Del. And you know, I'm interviewing so many people now, I'm not going to always remember. I love it when you interview vendors from the community. You turn me on to local spicery, Chuck says. Great. And yes, and I want to do that because I appreciate that they make products that we can have, and I want to help them during this time. Since if you're gonna, what do I feed Bailey? I feed her V-Dog, which is vegan kibble, cooked carrots, cooked brown rice, and 1.5 ounces of chicken, because I got her as an adult, and she just will not go vegan for me. You mentioned in YouTube's that the mainstay recipes, the book Red Lentil Chili, the mainstays from both books. People, what do they tell me they like the best? They like the split pea soup a lot. They like cauliflower bisque. They like black bean mushroom chili. They love the bean burger or the beanless version. So Judy watched Nutmeg Notebook for batch cooking. Can you talk about, let me see how many more questions I have. I've only got, do you suggest miso? When you know, miso is very high in salt, so I can't recommend salt, but I'm not telling you not to eat it. Miso can be very, very high in sodium, even more so than salt. Louise says UWL is the only thing that worked for me in 63 years. Well, congratulations. Darius, Miyoko just contacted me that she's booking, but she didn't give me the date. And okay. Who is the guest from Brooklyn? Think about who's famous in Brooklyn, and that's the guest at 5. Batch cooking, Christy, is Nutmeg Notebook. Oh, the book in German, Das Frogles. I cannot speak German. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's all I know. And I know, ist das nicht ein Schnitzelbank? Ja, das ist ein Schnitzelbank. Can you gain fat from whole food plant-based if you've been calorie restricting? I don't think you can gain fat weight. Yeah, absolutely. You can gain fat from nuts and seeds and high-fat plant foods, but I don't think you can gain weight just eating complex carbohydrates, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and legumes without sugar, oil, flour, alcohol, salt. But of course, if you're underweight, you can always gain weight because your body is trying to get it to the best weight for you. Sorry, trying to get everything. Have you found the roasted chestnuts? Mary, I just ordered them from Amazon because we're really trying not to go to stores, and I don't know if stores have them. It's usually Costco that had them, and Costco's been the hardest store to get into. Yeah, Marcy, it's I can't keep you guys more than 2 hours. That's like crazy. That's like a movie, but I am going to just do a little video on oatmeal. Cindy, oat groats is a recipe that's going to be out tomorrow for Weight Loss Wednesday, and I did one about 2 weeks ago. Christy lost 47 pounds in Vegas. Woohoo! That's like incredible. Congratulations. Debbie lost 55 pounds. When people, okay. Debbie says, I've lost 55 pounds and want to lose 10 more, but when people tell me not to lose any more weight, it messes with my head and my resolve lessons. Well, I think about something Jerry Seinfeld said on Seinfeld. People, they're the worst. Here's the thing. Has anybody that told you not to lose weight been thinner than you? Answer that question. And if the answer is no, then don't listen to them because they're jealous, and and also people aren't used to people losing weight unless they have like cancer and or cocaine addiction. So they're not, if you had weighed what you weighed now, nobody would be telling you, meaning, and they didn't know you overweight, they wouldn't be telling you not to lose weight. So have a session with Dr. Lyle if you need to work out the psychology. Made oat groats as opposed to cake. Oh yeah, oat groats are delicious. These are what oat groats are. I don't have time to go into my little oat thing, but I'm going to do a video just on that I'm not having to watch the screen, and I'm interviewing Cyrus from Mastering Diabetes on Sunday, and he's going to talk about what he wrote in his book about oats, about how, this is Mastering Diabetes, page 222. We found that eating oatmeal can cause unwanted blood glucose elevations in people living with a medium high or very high level of baseline insulin resistance. So I'm going to have him talk about that. And I got to let you go because I'm so, oh, the Feel, Rosemarie, the Feel Fabulous address. I'm doing another, oops, right there. It's feelfabulousover40.com/join. Thank you for your kind comment, Jennifer and Lorna. Ooh, wait a minute. Is this who I think it is watching live? We'll be here in 10. Oh my goodness gracious. Should I tell them who you are? Is it okay, Eric? You guys, the famous guest at 5 o'clock is on the feed right now. Boy, I'm very honored. He's very, very inspiring. Okay. I think I got everybody. If I missed anything, let me know. Oh boy, I think I got it. Okay, Darius says, I've never had weight issues, but after 60, eating bread will add weight fast. Gives me sinus trouble as well. I cannot eat late or I sleep poorly. This China study changed my life. And yeah, Colin Campbell's organization is doing something right now. It's like a community thing. It's very good. You can sign up. It's free. Anne says, how do you cut sugar cravings? By eating vegetables. Probably the most important thing I wrote in my book was the discovery of thylakoids, and Dr. Greger wrote it in his new book too. They completely annihilate cravings for sweets. So if you eat vegetables for breakfast, like I recommend, and particularly greens for breakfast, you're flooding your cells with these thylakoids, which basically like little Pac-Men that are telling the sugar cravings, that I saw a spot. Oh, to go away. So that's how you do it, by eating greens, eating greens, eating greens. So that is what you do. And that is how you cut sugar cravings. And of course, by also abstaining from sugar. And that includes 0-calorie sweeteners like stevia, erythritol, xylitol, mannitol, sorbitol. Rosemarie, I'm going to talk about why I feel oatmeal and fruit equals cake. Again, for some people, if you can eat oatmeal and fruit and be happy with your weight and not have cravings the rest of the day, then keep on eating them. I like to see people starting their day in a savory way. Okay. All right. I think. Yeah. Is it okay if I announce him, Amy? I'm just going to do it. What the heck? All right. So my guest at 5 o'clock tonight is all the way from Brooklyn. He is the president, Eric Adams. I know you might have heard of him on some other podcasts or YouTube. And so I'm very honored that he agreed to speak to me. And I actually, we did meet in person. He probably doesn't remember, but 2 events that I were at, well, at least the one in New York last May, he came and spoke, and I can't wait. But it's saying, wait a minute, no. Am I interviewing at 5 p.m. Pacific time or Eastern time? Okay, this is, oh boy. Because if I got to do them in 10 minutes, I'm starving. Is this your time? Oh boy. That means I got to get off. Hold on, thank goodness. Then I guess you got to get off my lap. Oh boy. Well, what can you do? I think I'm going to have to go because I have to create a new broadcast to send him the link. I thought it was 5 p.m. my time. Okay, no problem. I'm saying goodbye to the people now, and I will email the email I have for you the link. Gotta go. Guys, this has just been the craziest day. I'm going to say goodbye now. Thanks so much for watching. Please share the broadcast. Oh, great. Eric, yeah, can you give me 30 minutes to eat? Oh, free 11 a.m. or 4:30 p.m. tomorrow. Eric, this is the thing. We always have to say Pacific time. So Eric, if you're still watching, we can either do it in 30 minutes so I can eat, or we can do it tomorrow. But when you say 11 a.m., do you mean? Okay, I'm gonna wait for a second. Sorry, guys. My life is crazy right now. Bye, Kenny Malcolm. Bye, Lily. Bye, Lorna. All right, I'm gonna say goodbye now. And I can do, actually I can do, I am free the rest of the day, Eric. I just wanted to have a chance to have something to eat. So you pick the time and I'll be talking to Jonah right now. Guys, come back though. We're going to be talking to Eric Adams. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to say goodbye now. And I'll talk about oatmeal and fruit on a Weight Loss Wednesday very soon. Thanks. Stay safe, guys.